everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. Today is Wednesday, August 11th, and this is Flosstube number 85. And I have so much to show you today. This is probably going to be a long one. I do want to let people know, just in case you're new here or you just didn't know, I talk about books at the end of my videos, and I sometimes can get really rambly, and usually I talk about books for probably like 20 to 30 minutes. So when you see that timestamp and you see that this is a really long video, just keep in mind, like, the stitching is usually under an hour, and then I talk about books for a long time. So if you're only here for stitching and you're going, oh my God, this video is an hour and a half, like, it's actually not that long if you're only watching stitching. Just throwing that out there. So if you do want to hear about books, again, this is at the end. So I have some new designs to show you. So my design company is Hemlock Rye Stitchery, and you can get my designs on Gumroad, and I will link that right below in the drop down box. So Gumroad is a website that lets you, as the customer, pay what you want for my patterns. So you can get them for free. You can put a 0 in the price box and get the PDFs, or you can pay me, and you can pay me what you would like to pay me. I don't personally really care what you pay me. So if you feel like you just must pay me for these patterns, then you can do so. If you would like to get them for free, that is perfectly fine. So I like that model because it's low pressure for me and because when I'm designing something, it's because I want to stitch that thing. I'm just designing it for me, and I want to stitch it, and then I think maybe someone else wants to stitch it. So if they do, here it is, have at it. So I have very low expectations with this stuff, but I do have a new set of houses. So I started Hemlock Rye Stitchery last June of 2020, and my first set of release was my Christmas in Nantucket houses, and there were 3 houses. As I was, I think, stitching those up, it came to me that I would like to do all the seasons. So I ended up doing Samhain in Salem, which is my fall, autumn, Halloween set. And then I did spring in Williamsburg. And now I'm ready for summer. So I have summer in Cape Cod for my last set of houses. It's bittersweet because, this is concluding the house series, but it's also really nice because I'm ready to free up the mental space to move on and design other things and not have these oh, I gotta do those houses, I have to get those summer houses done. So it's nice. It's kind of nice to be done. It's been fun, but I'm ready to do some other things. So anyway, so I have a new set of houses, and this is my summer in Cape Cod set, and these are, the first one is Huckleberry Lane. So these are stitched on 32 count, picture this, plus fabric in the color Moon Glow, and they're all stitched with DMC except for the house color is a variegated fancy floss. So this one is Gentle Arts Barn Gray, the rest is DMC. So here is the first Cape Cod house. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little beach pail and shovel over here on the corner. And I always provide a conversion. So if you don't have Gentle Arts Barn Gray or you don't want to go get it, there will be a DMC blend to try to get a similar effect. However, I love how this Barn Gray showed up. I love the variegation. It looks like it's weathered by the beach. So I'm really, and the finishing, sorry, forgot to show. Instead of doing a flat fold like I usually do, I just did a flat ornament style. I just wanted to try something different. And I was out of mat board, so I didn't have enough to do flat folds. And then just a simple white pom-pom trim. The second house is called Strawberry Lane. And this one is, again, on Moon Glow fabric, and it features Classic Colorworks Stormy Night as the main house color. And the rest is DMC. And then the third house is Salt Hole Lane. These are real streets in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So this one features a color and cotton floss and the color Submarine as the main, and then the rest is DMC. So there are my summer in Cape Cod houses. I'm not sure if I can, not sure how to show all three of these at once, but I'm trying. So there they are, summer in Cape Cod. If you would like to stitch all three of these or one of these, just go to my website, linked below, and grab them. And if you would like to do the other house seasons, that would be fabulous. You can do the Christmas ones, the Halloween ones, or the spring ones. Those are all available at Hemlock Rye Stitchery on Gumroad. I don't have my own like Hemlock Rye Stitchery domain. So there are my new designs. Thank you. If you do stitch those, I would love to see. You can tag me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, like all run together as one, or just use hashtag Hemlock Rye Stitchery and let me know, because I want to see. I want to see if you're stitching anything, any of my designs. I want to see. So yeah, so there are my new designs. So what did I work on? Well, I worked on a lot of things because I just did. Because well, I'll tell you as I go. So after my last video, I think that night, I went back to my Mirabilia Halloween Fairy because I just wasn't quite ready to put that away. So I am stitching mine on 32 count XJU Design fabric in the colorway Elixir. And I have changed some of the colors on mine. So here's where I'm at. I think I was able to finally get into all, did I get into all of the colors? I think so. I think I finally have used all of the colors because I got into the wings, which were some new colors here. So the big thing I'm doing is I'm changing her dress. So I talked about this before. The kit originally came with Crescent colors, which are since rebranded as Classic Colorworks. And just due to dye lot changes, like things have, the colors just did not quite look how they did on the model. So the dress colors in particular did not look anything like this picture. And I decided to just totally swap them out. And several people have asked me what I'm using. And I said, I will show you in my next video. So I swapped out the dress to 2 color and cotton colors, which are available. These are not limited edition. I'm using Grape and Ash Plum for the dress. So those are the 2 colors I switched to. And I do really like how that conversion is looking. I also switched out, I switched out almost every color, but the rest I kind of stayed in the spirit of the pattern. So I did have to switch out the 2 oranges that are used in the bag and the hem of the dress, but I stayed, I think, you know, pretty much in the spirit of the colors on the photo. I am making her skin darker. I'm using, I don't remember. Oh, it's a limited edition fancy floss that I had in stash. So far I've only done part of her arm here, but I am doing a darker skin color. she's stitching up really fast, but I did, I think, just work on her one more day, and then I set her aside because other things were happening. So, I am in a lot of stitch-alongs. I have committed to a lot of stitch-alongs. I've started some new stitch-alongs since last video. I've tried to like put some progress in other stitch-alongs. I am not up to date or caught up on any of them, but I keep joining more. So basically, if you ask me if I want to stitch something with you, the answer is usually going to be yes. You can twist my arm pretty easily. So I got back to Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 Stitch Along, which is the Fruits of Plenty. This is a black and white printout, but just so you can see like what the pattern will look like. The called for colors are 2 shades of a dusty blue. One's like a dark and one's a lighter, but I totally switched the colors. So I got back to this and I got June. Is it June? Yeah. I got June done, and then I've got a nice start on July. The August section isn't too bad. So if I can just get through July, I feel like I could possibly get August done this month. We'll see. Here is where I'm at. So like I said, I finished June and I've gotten a nice start down here in July. And these frames in particular, like the navy framing in each section, it takes forever. So it doesn't always look like you did a whole lot, but you know, it's just this, like, it's a nice little row of stitches. You think like, how long can that take? It takes a while. It really does. So actually the part that surprisingly doesn't take that long is this Assisi fill-in. It looks like the densest part. It looks like it's going to take the longest, but that part for me goes really fast. But what takes forever are these frames. You know, there's 5 rows of navy in this frame. You know, it takes a long time, but it's fun to stitch and it looks amazing. I'm stitching mine on 40 count Fortnite fabrics in the color Caravan Tan, and I'm using 2 Valdani silks for my colors. And I love it. And I do want to stay caught up with this one, and I'm not caught up, but I'm not that far behind. I do want to stay on top of that one so I can have that big finish at the end of the year. Also, the other reason is there's the date is in here. So at the top it says 20, and then here at the bottom it says 21. And I really don't want to try to figure out how to chart 2022. So I could figure it out. I just don't want to. So I do want to get this done this year so I can put that 2021 there at the bottom. I do think that this, so here's the August section. And it doesn't, on the pattern, it doesn't look like much stitching. And then September is going to be a nice chunk. And then I think we're going to get a nice break in October. October looks like a light section to me. So, I mean, I think there's opportunity to catch up. I do. We'll see. I've continued to work on Dark Queen of the Sea. Again, very not caught up on this, but I've continued to plug away and I've made really good progress. I'm not upset at all. This stitch along is concluded. The last part came out in August 1st. And let me show you what she will look like when she's all done, because really just this pattern is just stunning. So here is the final reveal. So the big thing about August was all the beads and then all this back stitch. Look at all this back stitch in her tentacles. And it's done with treasure braid, so it's sparkly. There's a ton of back stitch and a ton of beads, and I'm actually really, really excited to get to that part because I really think it looks amazing. And I want to see it on my piece because I know it's going to look even better in real life. And so I really want to get caught up so I can, well, not even caught up. I want to get done with the main stitching so that I can get to the beading and the back stitch. So that is what she will look like. I am not going to take her out of the Q-snap because she's really in there pretty good, and I don't want to mess with it. You've seen her before. But I got a lot done. So I have been over here doing all of this tentacle here. There's still a bit to go, but I think I'm getting there. So, you know, there's still some more tentacle that comes up this way. But this is the June. This is the June section. And then the July section, I have to move over to the other side here and do this other tentacle. And then she will be done with the bulk of the stitching. So currently over here, I have all of this done. I need to get this little tentacle here. And then I have to come over here and do these tentacles, which are smaller. So I think they feel like they are. So yeah, that section, like the last section in July, is not bad. So I have been really trying. I haven't done it every day, but I try to do like 30 minutes a day on her just so I can keep moving forward. And some days I do more than 30 minutes because I'm just like really in a flow. And then sometimes I won't work on her for a couple of days, but I am not letting her fall by the wayside. I am continuing to work on her. So then I like randomly realized that I had forgotten about my Alforus Alice in Wonderland stitch along, which is a free stitch along. You can get that on the Alforus website. And a new part comes out every other Friday, like every 2 weeks. And I had kind of like forgotten about her, and then a new part came out and I was like, oh, I'm now 3 parts behind. Oh no. So I got her back out and I did another part. So now I'm only 2 parts behind, but another part is coming out this Friday. So, oh well. But these parts are small. So I really don't mind because I feel like, you know, I can keep up. If it took me a day to do this last part, so it's not bad. This is the called for fabric, which is Vintage Country Mocha, but mine's a 40 count. And then the floss is the dyed floss I got directly from Alforus. So that is where I'm at. I do need to get this back out because Kyle Reckemeyer just finished this part, I think today, and I told him he can catch up to me, but he can't get ahead of me. So he's probably going on to the next part today. So I need to get this back out because I can't let Kyle pass me. He's keeping me motivated. So then I had some new starts, like a lot of new starts. Okay, so my friend Amy, Gable's Stitcher, it was her birthday on July 30th, and we wanted to do like a birthday start together. And we had kitted this pattern up probably, it's almost been 2 years now, and we had both kitted it up, meant to start it together, and then never did. And we were like, okay, we got to get this started. And it's a really, really big pattern. It's the 1816 Veerland sampler. This is a big, big, big pattern. It's from the magazine. What is the magazine called? It's Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly. It is I think the spring and summer 2015. It's released in 2 parts. You can get this as a PDF on byannie.com, I think is what the website is. It's Annie's catalog. So you can get it. It's not like impossible to find or anything. It's an older magazine, but it's available digitally. But you do have to buy both issues to get the whole chart, which is humongous. So I'm stitching mine on a 46 count so that I could fit it on a fat quarter. But I don't think something must have been off with my fabric. I'm not really sure what happened, but I knew I was going to have really tight margins. I thought I was going to have 1.5 inches on both sides. Luckily, something told me to start in the top center instead of the top left. Like I was going to start in the top left and just come in 1.5 inches and start stitching. But I was just very nervous about these margins. So I actually started in the center and worked over to the left. And I'm so glad I did, because I did not have 1.5 inches on this. I have it less than 1 inch, like just a little bit shy of 1 inch over here. So if I had started 1.5 inches in, I probably would not have been able to fit the far right side. So it is a very tight margin over here, but I can work with it. But again, I'm glad I started in the center so that I could find that out. It's a tight fit. This is 46 count linen IT and coffee dyed myself. And the floss I am using is Classic Colorworks Erin Go Emerald. It is a deep, deep emerald to black floss. And I love the way it's looking. I unfortunately didn't get very far. I think this was, I can't remember if I worked on it for 2 nights or just the 1 night. Just 1 night. So yeah, that's just 1 night of progress. And I meant to get back to it, but I got distracted. I don't mind a small margin. I really don't, but I do usually like a little bit more than that. But I'm going to make it work because I didn't want to have to buy a fat half. I just didn't. So then I started another stitch along. The Witchy Stitcher Cryptid Stitch Along. The frame came out. So I think it's not until September that we get the first clue. But the frame was released, so I did get a start on that so that I would be ready to go. I'm stitching mine on 40 count color and cotton linen. The color is called Spiced Honey. And it looks so good. I love it. So I think I need to get a little bit more done, but I think I have enough done that I can get going on the first clue when it's released. I'm not sure if that's showing up right. It's a nice warm fabric. Sometimes my camera tries to blow those out and make them more neutral. That's not all. That's not all. I started another stitch along. Okay, so here's the story. I have been eyeing this stitch along all year. And I keep going, no, no, no. And Helen D, East Coast Crafter on Instagram, I think on Flosstube, she's just Helen D. And she's been stitching this all year, and she's just been taunting me with it. And I finally was like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. So this is Tiny Modernist Zodiac Signs. And here is where we are. August was just released. But really it was this lion, this Leo lion, that was the final straw for me. That I said, fine. Fine. I'm gonna do it. So the piece is bigger than I thought. I actually had to go get fabric and dye it myself because I didn't have anything in stash that was big enough even to dye. So I had to go buy a big piece of 14 count Aida, and I went with 14 count Aida because I knew I was going to dye it really dark, and I thought that would make it a little easier to stitch on. So I got this huge piece of 14 count Aida, and I dyed it myself with RIT dye. It turned out exactly the color I wanted, which made me so happy. So I got a lot done on this. So yeah, this is the dye. This is the fabric I dyed myself. It's like a purple with, you probably can't see it on camera, but there's like some fuchsia and some blue modeling as well, but it's mostly just a deep galaxy purple. And then the only change I made, this is all the called for DMC, but I did swap out the border was just DMC in a gold color, and I actually went and got some DMC diamond. And so I don't know if you can tell, but my border is going to be metallic. But yeah, I'm almost done with Leo. And it looks great. It looks great. And some of my very favorite people in the world are Leos. Like several of my favorite people in the world are Leos, including my partner and including my best friend Amy and some other people too. So I love it. I love it. Am I going to catch up with it? No, definitely not. I mean, look at this. I'm not even going to try to pretend. What I haven't decided is if I'm going to just go and finish out the year, like keeping up with the next sections, and then in January, like start and do some makeup. I don't know yet. We'll see. I mean, it's like physically impossible for me to keep up with all of these stitch alongs. So most likely that's not going to happen. Okay, was that all the things I started? No. No, there's one less. There's one more thing. So I had bought this pattern and I think I showed it in my last video, and I wanted to start it soon, but I didn't have any firm plans. And then Alicia at Resist Stitch messaged me and was like, we should start this. And I was like, okay, I mean, I want to anyway, so let's do it. So the pattern is from Birdie's Crossing, and it's called the No More Sampler. And there are two versions, and I bought the second version. I don't want to zoom in because then you could this is almost a pattern. It's not the pattern, but it's almost the pattern. So anyway, I only got to work on this for one day, I think. Yeah, just one day. But I pulled out my NPI silk hank that I got in San Francisco, and I got a nice little start on this. This is a 40 count coloring cotton fabric. It is called Marzipan. And here's where I'm at, which is just right in the center. I mean, you have to start in the center with this one. So that's it. I know. It's not a lot, but it's a start. It's a start. I don't know how far, I don't think Alicia has sent me an update on where she's at on this. I need to check in with her. Okay. And I have one last whip. I didn't start anything else. So my friends, Shannon Bromo and Alexis, on Instagram, she's Alexis My Amazing World, I think is what her Instagram name is. And Shannon is on Instagram as Shannon Bromo, and then she's on Flosstube as, I'm not sure. Might be Shannon Bromo. No. She's on Flosstube as the Soda Stitcher. That's right. She's from Minnesota. So it's the soda, not soda like the drink. It's Sota Stitcher. So anyway, Alexis and Shannon were starting the Primitive Needle Witch's Hollow. And they asked me, Shannon asked me if I would get mine out and stitch along with them. They're doing a new start. Mine's already started. And I said, yes, it'd be an excellent excuse to get out this old whip that I haven't worked on in like a year. So here's what it looks like. This is my working copy because this pattern usually sells for about $200 on eBay. So I don't want to mess up my original. So this is my poor photocopy, working copy, which is really washed out and lighter. But it's a big piece that calls for 1 million colors. And that's kind of the idea of what it will what it will look like. So I got this out last night, so I only got like an hour and a half on it. I think I'm gonna work on it some more today. But here's where I'm at on this one. And what I did last night was I finished this witch. I had her top done, but I finished like the whole dress, and I stitched over here, and then I did the cauldron. I already had all this tree done. So for this section, all I need to do is stitch in the rest of this tree and the cat that goes right here, and then I'll be done with this part. Calls for a lot of charcoal. Oh, I'm stitching mine on 40 count Murky from Picture This Plus. And it felt really good to get back to this really old work in progress. Shannon and Alexis, that's hard to say, like, to try to say together quickly. Shannon and Alexis are both up here on this owl, and this owl is a pain. It really is a pain to stitch. But after you get done with that, the rest of it's pretty easy. So those are all my works in progress. Now, what did I buy? Well, I bought a lot of things, as it turns out. Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you, I didn't buy this. I didn't buy this. Let me show you something. I just want you all to know. Now, most of you who are watching my channel are probably cross stitchers and probably know what you're doing already. But I think sometimes people stumble on or watch stuff like this and maybe they don't actually cross stitch. And I've had people ask me, you know, can you do a beginner's tutorial, or like, can you point me in the direction of something? I think I want to like dip my toe into cross stitching. Or, you know, people will, like friends or family might ask you to teach them how to cross stitch. So I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a free series that Fat Quarter Shop is going to be doing on their Flosstube that is going to cover the very, very basics. And it is called Cross Stitch University, and it starts at the end of August. And there is a free pattern on their blog or on their website. There's more information on their blog about what all is going to happen. But here's the little pattern that you can get and stitch for free. But this is the pattern they're going to use for the beginner's cross stitch series. It's going to be, I think, 11 parts, and it's going to cover everything from like the very, 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 very basics. It's going to show how to back stitch, how to do a French knot. I'm not sure like what all else is going to be included, but if anybody in your life is like, hey, I want to learn, I think I might want to learn, you know, you can point them to Fat Quarter Shop, to Cross Stitch University, because they're going to do all the heavy lifting for us. I personally, like if someone asks me, I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to actually like probably sit down with somebody and show them how to do this. Because it's like, where do I start? So this is, like I said, doing all the heavy lifting for us. So wanted to let you all know that that is happening. I will be stitching this with the Fat Quarter Shop. It's not a big piece at all. It's 71 by 71, so it's quite small. But I'll be showing you guys my progress. I actually really love the color palette for this. And I'll try to remember to link below. But Fat Quarter Shop has a Flosstube where they'll be doing the series, but there's more information on their blog about what all it's going to be. Okay, so then I bought some stuff. So the first thing I wanted to show you guys was this new pattern from Mod Cross. Mod Cross is on Etsy and Instagram. And this pattern is called Books Are Magic. And there's actually 2 versions of this pattern, but this was the version I bought. Books Are Magic. And I bought this version because you can put your favorite book titles here on this stack. She provides a back stitch alphabet. Oh my God, I couldn't think of the word. Alphabet. So you can do your own. So I'm going to have to think hard about what books are going to make the cut for my book stack. But I wanted to let you know that the designer for Mod Cross has graciously offered to give away a copy of this pattern or the other version. There's the 2 versions. I love the other version a lot, but I loved the customized version a little bit more. So, and I'll be inserting a picture here with the other version. So you can win a copy of either version of this pattern, or maybe both. I can't remember if they said we'll give away the bundle that has both. We'll figure it out. If you want to win this pattern, tell me what your favorite book is. Tell me in the comments. Just tell me your favorite book. And I know that's hard. I know that can be hard, right? Maybe you have like 10 favorite books. I mean, that's how I feel most of the time too. But just tell me like your favorite or some of your favorites or one of your favorites. Tell me your favorite book in the comments. My favorite book. It's hard, right? Because there's a lot, but my favorite, all-time favorite is Lord of the Rings. I've read it probably 5 times, and I'm actually due for a reread. I was talking with some friends recently, just a couple days ago, about that I'm due for a reread. It's been probably like 7 years since I read it, so it's time. So that might be happening later this year. We'll see. But that's my favorite. So if you would like to win this pattern, it'll come as a PDF. Like if you are the winner, you'll just need to give me your email and it'll be emailed to you. And I hope to start this soon. Stay tuned. While I was dyeing my fabric for the Zodiac stitch along, I dyed a piece of fabric for this. So I'm ready to go. All right. So Modern Folk Embroidery. You know them, you love them. If you don't, you should. Modern Folk Embroidery. Jacob has a Flosstube and a website with stunning patterns. And Jacob made, like, for a while had a separate design company, and it was called Dark Crosses. It was on Etsy. And he didn't want to put it under the Modern Folk Embroidery umbrella because it was a little bit more like dark and twisty, and he wasn't sure if that like fit in. He explains all this in his Flosstube, but I think he wasn't sure if it fit in with like his vibe at the time. And then recently he was like, sure it does, and he moved all of the Dark Crosses stuff to the Modern Folk Embroidery website and has some new patterns. And he, I think, knew that I would love them very much, so he contacted me and offered to send me a few. They're so good. They are so good. So this one is new. This one was not available before. It is called Spirits of the Dead, and it's an Edgar Allan Poe pattern, and it is glorious. And Jacob actually just today posted his work in progress on this pattern, and it looks so good. It looks so good. So this is something I want to start really soon. I have fabric and floss all picked out. This is also part of my haul. This fabric I got from Top Knot Stitcher, and it's Fairy Wool in the Wood 32 count hand-dyed linen, and the color is called Witch Tina. and it's super grungy. And I'm going to stitch with this anchor floss, which it's almost like, I would say it's like equivalent to 3371 in DMC. So it's like a dark black brown. So I've got that ready to go and planning to start that really, really soon. And these patterns are available on the Modern Folk Embroidery website, and they're very reasonable. I think, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think they're like $6 or $7. So yeah, there's that one. And then he sent me, this one was not new, I don't think. I think this was available previously. This is the Tombstone Sampler. And it says, here liveth the Adams family, but there's an alphabet provided, so you could change Adams and make it your own family name if you like. This one I think is new. It's Calavera Sugar Skull pattern. Should be a really, really fast stitch, which is really fun. Like some of these you could stitch in a day. This one's also should be a fast stitch. It's called Welcome to My Castle. And then, and I'm sorry, I printed these in black and white. On the website, I think most of them are like a dirty, aged linen with like black floss. This one is, this is My Familiar. And it's a rat, and I really like this one too. This might be the next one I do. So it was so generous of Jacob to send those to me, and I love them, and there are more. Those are not all, and I will be getting some more from his website very soon. So I showed you guys the linen I got from Abby at Top Knot Stitcher. I also bought a few other things because Abby was having a sale. I think it was 20% off or 25% off. It was a good sale. So I had to buy a few things. So I had to buy Anna Oman 1873 from Leela's Studio because my friend Betsy Klegger, and my friend Melissa, Starless Stitcher, were both stitching this at our retreat a couple weekends ago. And I was like, I can't resist anymore. I need it. So I got that from Abby. And I got that. I wanted this, but it was so expensive when it came out. So with Abby's sale, I finally was like, oh, okay. So this is the Primitive Hair 2021 cross stitch calendar. It's literally a calendar, like literally. And then on this page that I can't show you, there's a pattern, but here's what the designs look like that are included. I didn't want it because of a calendar. I just wanted the patterns. So I don't care that 2021 is more than half over. Here are the patterns that are included. There's one for each month. So the price was, completely reasonable for all of those patterns. I just wasn't ready to spend that much. So finding it finally on sale, I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that. I also got the Stitchy Box Samplers Companion to Beatrix Potter Sampler. I've wanted this for a while. I got Michelle Bendy Stitchy's new pattern. This is Summer Witches. I've already stitched the Winter Winter Witches. I stitched those. I bought the spring ones, didn't get them started. And then now I have the summer. I'm guessing there are some fall ones coming out shortly. And then I've been dying to try Fox and Rabbit linen. I've been dying to try it, and Abby had some in stock at Top Knot Stitcher. So this is called Ballet Slippers. It is so pretty. It's just like a dusty peachy pink. Really a neutral, but with like a hint of a peachy pink. Ballet Slippers is a very, very appropriate name. for this linen. Okay, oh, the last thing. No, that's not true. That's not true. The last thing in this bin, there's another bin. Liz Matthews, hello from Liz Matthews. She was having a sale on PDFs on her Etsy, and I had not picked up the 4th Day of Christmas yet, so I went and grabbed that. Okay. Couple more things though. So Black Needle Society had their retreat in a box called I think it was called Night Garden, and I had not signed up like in time to get that one, so I missed it entirely. But I wasn't worried because they always release like their overstock, so I was like, you know what, it's fine. I missed this one, but I'll be able to get what I want like when they release the overstock. And so like I set a timer, and I did. I got what I wanted. But I'm pretty sure I barely got it because like I put it in my cart and I checked out, and then I went and looked and it was sold out. But what I wanted were the 2 patterns that came in the box. So these were Black Needle Society originals. So there's Moonrise Snail and Savor Life. And I went ahead and you could just get the 2 patterns on their own, but I went ahead and got the kit that came with the floss, like all the flosses, and the fabric, which is French Lilac from Picture This Plus, and the finishing kit from Lady Dot Creates. It includes everything you need to finish these patterns exactly as they're shown. So I've got everything to finish the snail in this fashion, and everything to finish this pattern as the bag. So I love. I love purple. I love a night garden. I love this death moth, or this Luna moth on the pattern. Am I pointing correctly? No. Here you go. Right here. I love it. I love it all. I can't wait. I cannot wait to stitch that. Okay. And then lastly, the last thing. I placed an order with Fat Quarter Shop. So I grabbed a bunch of color and cottons. If you guys did not know, Fat Quarter Shop carries color and cotton floss, and they have an amazing selection. So you can get color and cotton floss directly from Color and Cotton, but Fat Quarter Shop has it in stock too. And I've been building up my collection. So whenever I place an order, I just like grab a bunch of color and cottons. I think some of these I already had, but I think I got some repeats, but that's okay. And I got some that I didn't have yet. So I grabbed those, and then I grabbed for Cross Stitch University, the pattern I just showed a little while ago. There is a shirt for that, and because I am like officially participating in the stitch along, I got the shirt, Cross Stitch U. If you want one of those, they have them on the website. And then I got some fabric. This is Fiber on a Whim, which I hadn't tried before and wanted to try. So this is Fiber on a Whim, 40 count in the color Parchment. It is beautiful. So, in case you didn't know, Fat Quarter Shop has like upped their cross stitch game, because they did not used to carry 40 count. Like, they used to have fabric, but they're branching out and they're adding those higher counts and more brands, and it's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of fabric on their website now. And you don't have to wait. Like, they had a lot of Picture This Plus actually too. And you all know how hard it can be to find Picture This Plus like in stock. So if you need something, like they shipped my order like the next day and I got it 2 days later. So just saying, like go check their website if you're looking for any fabrics, because you know, if you need a certain color picture this plus, they might have it and you can get it really quick. So that was my haul. So that concludes the stitching portion of the video. I am now going to talk about books, and if you are not interested in book talk, that's totally fine. You can leave now and you're not going to miss anything. But if you do want to hear about books, then let's talk about books. So if you've watched my previous videos, you know that I am rereading the Outlander series in its entirety before the new book comes out in November. So I read in July, I read The Fiery Cross, which I believe is the 5th book. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. This is the 5th book in the Outlander series. So I've talked about the Outlander series before. I can't do like a recap of these books when I talk about them because that will take forever. I actually had to edit a video once because I did try to do a recap and I talked for 15 minutes and I was like, this is ridiculous, and I cut it out. So if you are like completely unaware of the Outlander series, like they've been out for years. I think the first one came out in the 90s, maybe earlier. I don't know. It could have been like 89 or something. They've been out for a while. They've been around for a while. They're big old books. They're like 900 to 1,000 pages. They take forever to read. I'm not going to lie. They take forever to read. Each one is taking me the entire month to reread. But The Fiery Cross is probably my least favorite. Still great, but definitely this book is hard to get through. This is the one everybody gets stuck on. So, you know, people are like chugging along, enjoying the series, and then they just kind of crash and burn on this one. And it's a tough one because really like not much happens and it's still 900 something pages long. But particularly, and I'm buddy reading these with my friend Andrea, Stitchy Bookworm. And so we're like, you know, texting each other like updates and just kind of both laughing at how the book opens with the family going to something called The Gathering, which is just the gathering of the Scottish clans in the new colonies of America. Like once a year, they all kind of converge and camp out and just have like a big reunion. And so they're at the gathering and there are going to be some weddings taking place. I'm trying to be a little vague so I don't spoil this if you're truly like, you know, watching the show right now or reading the books and you really don't know what's going to happen. But they're at the gathering, and literally they are at the gathering until I think like you get into the 200s, like 200 pages of them still at this reunion. Like, and the time span is just a day or two. And so you're like just waiting for something to happen. You've been there forever. And then, okay, finally, like the weddings happen, whatever, we move on. And then things do start to pick up a little bit, but ultimately, like, what happens in this book, nothing happens in this book. We don't get revenge on the bad guy. We finally get the wedding. Like, I guess that's the only thing that happens is the wedding, but it's not that exciting because the couple who gets married were already hand-fasted, so they were already pretty much married and had a baby together, so like it's not that big of a deal. There is like a murder mystery whodunit that happens, but it's not that interesting nor high stakes. Does anything else happen in this book? I feel like this book is a lot of setup like for the next book. But yeah, it's a slog. It's hard to get through because it is slower paced and really not a lot's going on. However, I mean, I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. So do I love it? No. You have to read it. I mean, you have to read this to know what's going on for the next book. But I do understand why this one's hard. I understand why this is hard for people. But it's still very good. It's still very lush and full of detail. And that's how all of these books are, right? That's why they're so long. That's why they're not everybody's cup of tea. You get a ton of historical facts and experiences, and there's a lot to learn in these books about living in the 16th century. What century are we in? About living in the 1700s. There's a lot to learn, and I find it fascinating. But if that's not like something that's interesting to you, then you're gonna hate these books, honestly. I love them. I know that wasn't like a great review, but I've talked about the books a lot, and it's hard to talk about the 4th or the 5th book in a series because, like, where do you even start? So after that, I read a library book on my Kindle, and it is called, so I'll have to insert a picture. It is called The Strange Case of the The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. That's a mouthful. I very much enjoyed this book. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't like a love, but I liked it a lot. I believe it's the first of 3. So I do plan to read the rest of the series, but I'm not like jumping at the bit like to read it, but I do plan to read it. So this was a really interesting premise. So the book is like, I don't even know how to describe it quite. It pulls from some is it Regency era London in Europe? How do I describe this? Okay, so it centers around a group of extraordinary women, and these women have ties to classic books that we know. So the main character is Mary Jekyll, and her sister is I forgot her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But her sister is Hyde's daughter. So Jekyll and Hyde. And then these other women come into the fold, but we meet characters from Frankenstein and The Island of Dr. Moreau, and Sherlock and Holmes are actually present in the story. So those are the only two like male characters that have like a prominent role. So Mary Jekyll is the main character, and she gets wrapped into this mystery, and she enlists the help of Sherlock and Holmes to help her solve this mystery. And then these other characters start to get thrown in. So it was fun to like have that moment of realization, like, oh, that's okay, like that's from Frankenstein. I see what you did there. Like she definitely creatively like pulls all these stories together. It was fun. It's been a few weeks since I read it, so I'm sorry I'm like a little hazy. But it was fun. They were trying to solve this mystery. The women become like a found family, and they're all considered like monsters in some way, except for Mary. I think Mary's pretty normal, but the rest of them have some unusual things going on. And they're all kind of on their own, and they pull together and they become a family, and they form this society where they're going to go, like, I guess in future books, solve mysteries. I think that's what they're going to be doing. With Sherlock and Holmes like helping out. So I mean, if you're like a fan of Sherlock and Holmes, I think you'd really enjoy this. I am not so much, and nothing against it. I've just never like fallen into that fandom, or watched like all the shows and the remakes and stuff, but I still enjoyed it just for what it was. Like I said, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like amazing, but it was nice. It was a good read, and I'm gonna read the next one. I feel like I explained it really, really poorly, and I do apologize, but if any of that sounds good to you, I say go for it. So then I read another ebook on my Kindle, so I will again have to insert a picture. This is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. So this is a sapphic historical romance. I was so excited to read this. Several people have recommended this author to me, and I was very much intrigued, and I really, really, really enjoyed this book like a lot. So like I said, it's a sapphic romance and historical, so that's an interesting genre. Historical romance with, traditional male female, like they get married and have their happy ever after. But when you're looking at a male pairing or a female pairing, that just can't happen, right? The times, the historical times, like it's just not going to happen. So you have to kind of like go in knowing that like these characters aren't going to get that traditional happily ever after. But it's still, I think, a satisfying conclusion. But it was a very cute story. So the premise of the story is there is a young woman who is an astronomer. Her father was an astronomer and she was his assistant, and she learned the trade. And she's, this brilliant astronomer who gets no credit because she's a woman. Everything got published like as her father being the author, and nobody knows, how brilliant she is. She ends up going to London on this like last ditch effort. I can't remember like exactly what gets her there, but she goes to London to like her father, the Society of Astronomers that her father was involved in, like she wants to go see if like she can get some work with them. And they're like, no, you're a woman, go away, ha ha ha. So she ends up finding a wealthy patroness from the society. So this woman, she is a countess, and her husband was in the society and was prominent in the society, but he has died. However, she is still esteemed and respected in the society because she has a lot of money. And she kind of sponsors this young budding astronomer and says, like, come stay with me. Like, I'll take care of expenses and you can do your work and then we'll fall in love. Okay. But I mean, that's not her angle. Like, she doesn't, that makes it sound like she like lured her in. She develops feelings for her after all of that. Her intentions are honorable to start with. But anyway, they fall in love. But it was really, really well written. I was actually really surprised because a lot of times with historical romance, like, how do I want to say this? Sometimes the writing in historical romance is just okay. Like, it's just fine. It's not often really elegant or beautiful prose. And actually, like, the writing in this book was really, really, really well done. So I really appreciated that. And then, it had all the historical romance tropes and things that I love about historical romance. But it was just a really lovely book. I really enjoyed it. And there are more. It's a series. I don't know the rest of them, if they're sapphic or like different pairings, but I very much enjoyed this author. Olivia Waite is the author. And so I do think I will be reading more of her novels, like for sure. And I do highly recommend The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. It was really well done. Okay, the last book I have to read, or to talk about, I finished this last night. I read this in 3 days. I loved this book. So, Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is a contemporary romance. I had a feeling I was going to like this. I wanted to read this. It came out last summer, I believe, and I just I kept looking at it, and I finally bought it, and I kind of held on to it for a few months, and I was like, I think I need to read this. And my friend Andrea, Stitchy Bookworm, was like, I want to read that too. Like, let's read it. So I don't think she's finished it yet, but from our conversations, she was enjoying it very much as well. But she hasn't finished yet. Like I said, I had a feeling I was going to like this, but I did not know I was going to love this. So, contemporary romance. So it features a woman named January. She is an author. She writes women's fiction, romance. Basically, she writes books like this. And she ends up, her father dies, and she finds out that he had this kind of secret second life that she had no idea about. And he has left her this lake house in Michigan. And she's broke, and she's got writer's block. She's trying to write her next book. She's out of money. So she leaves New York City, and she goes to this beach house, or this lake house. And her goal is just like, okay, I'm going to spend the summer like cleaning out this house, selling off all the furniture and stuff, getting it ready to actually sell the house. And I'm going to like, lock myself away and like write a book. I've got to write a book. Like her agent is on her to submit a new story. And so that's where we start. She's going to Michigan, and she's trying to cope with like the grief of having lost her father, but also like not having known, like this man she thought was this perfect husband and father had a whole other life that she didn't know about. So she's like grappling with all of that. She's a romance writer, and now she doesn't know if she believes in love anymore. So she's going through some stuff. So she ends up in Michigan, and by the way, none of this is a spoiler. Like, this is all on, the back here. So she ends up in Michigan, and her neighbor, it turns out, is a college rival. So they weren't like enemies or anything like that, but there was this guy in her college writing courses who, she always had this, like, she was drawn to him, but they had this kind of contentious like thing going on. And he was her rival because like he was the golden boy, like shining star, great writer, and it always kind of drove her crazy that, he's so good and he's a jerk and whatever. So they are not enemies, but they have this interesting backstory. So it turns out they're living next door to each other, and it turns out he is also suffering from writer's block. So they end up making a deal to explore each other's genres. So he's going to try to write a romance novel, and she's going to try to write like a literary fiction novel, which is not a genre she usually writes in. So that's kind of where the book takes off. And then they fall in love, obviously. It's a contemporary romance. So, but I really liked it. This was the first time I've read Emily Henry. I very much enjoyed her writing style. She's very funny and witty. There's really cute banter. Or I shouldn't say cute. There's like sharp, sarcastic, witty banter. Steamy chemistry, and it's a really good book. It's been some people have complained about this being sold as this like light fluffy beach read. I mean, it is called beach read, but the new cover for this is like makes it look like, like a Debbie Macomber like fluff to read on the beach. And people have felt a little misled because this book has some pretty heavy topics, including grief, like death of a parent, depression, mental health issues. There's some suicide cult stuff, which I know sounds crazy, but what happens is the main character, Gus, is doing research for his next book, and it involves a suicide cult. So there's all this stuff, like some pretty heavy topics. And so people are kind of like, well, that really isn't a beach read. And I do, kind of see where they're coming from. So, fair warning about that. But the topics, I think, are heavy, but I really enjoyed like watching the characters grow and get through these things, and finally like find a way to get together and like move on in the end. So very, very surprised by how much I love this. I thought I would like it, but I did not know I was going to love it. So I'm very, very happy about this book and highly recommend. And I cannot wait to read Emily Henry's book that came out this summer, People We Meet on Vacation, which I had also bought because I kept hearing good things about. So now that I just finished Beach Read and loved it, dropped it. Now that I finished this and loved it so much, I cannot wait to read her next book, People We Meet on Vacation. You can find these on Target on sale quite often. I think I got both of these for $10. They're usually like $13 or $14, but Target puts them on sale for $10 all the time. So just a tip. Just a tip. All right, those are all the things I read. So if you made it this far, like I always say, wow, like, thank you. I know these videos get really long, and especially when I start talking about books, I get really, really chatty. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.